Big week for your Columbus Blue Jackets. NHL draft on Sunday. Jackets with 3 number ones. That's juxtaposed with a restricted free agents in free agency, and the Jackets a little bit of cash to spend if they want to spend it. Rothman and I could sit here and pontificate about what they should or could do, but instead we go to the man who will have a direct say in that, the general manager of the Columbus Blue Jackets, Jarmo Kekalainen, on with Bo Bishop and Anthony Rothman. Jarmo, thanks so much for taking the time. Before we get into your team's plans, I'm curious what you thought of the last minute and a half, 2 minutes of the game last night. Were you able to watch it at all as a fan and just appreciate just the spontaneity and the brilliance that hockey can provide?
Oh, absolutely. I was watching it every second of it, and I was shocked like everybody else, thinking we're going to the overtime maybe, or thinking we're going to the 7th game, and which is something that everybody probably liked to see except Chicago Blackhawks. It was quite the ending, storybook ending for sure. I think that it was great finals and great season, and a great team won the championship. So that's what every hockey fan wants to see.
Yeah, it certainly was. The best team won this year, best team in the regular season, best team in the playoffs got it done. That was your Blackhawks. You guys strive for that now, you and John Davidson and the rest of the organization with the Blue Jackets. You have a guy who won the Vezina in net in Sergei Bobrovsky. You are negotiating with him now. How would you describe those negotiations on an extension with Bob?
They're ongoing. They're a work in progress. We've had good dialogue with his agent, Paul Theophanis. We spoke to him today after we had the press conference, and I think we're making progress, slowly but surely, hopefully, and I hope they share our optimistic views of it. We're hoping to get something done soon.
Jarmo, it's very interesting because what we hear in the media and fans is this KHL president gives this, quote, excellent offer to Bob, and I'm just curious from your standpoint, do you look at this as being a real difficult decision for him based on the fact that the homeland's kind of calling and that sort of thing? Is that in play here, the emotional side of it for Bobrovsky?
Well, I can't speak for Bobrovsky, but what I know of him is he's a very ambitious athlete. He's a very professional guy who takes his approach to the game and preparation very seriously. I'd like to believe that he wants to play in the best league in the world, and there's no doubt about it what that is. He's won the Vezina. I think he's stated somewhere in the past that he wants to win the Vezina, Hart Trophy, and the Stanley Cup. You can only do that in the NHL. So we're hoping that he wants to play here. We're hoping that he wants to be a Blue Jacket and help us grow as a team and get towards that goal of winning the Stanley Cup.
Talking to Jarmo Kekalainen, the Blue Jackets general manager. Jarmo, when you got on this ship with the Blue Jackets, it was in the middle of this club not being very good, frankly, and they turned it on, and you had this incredible run to go to the brink of the Stanley Cup playoffs and come up just short in that tiebreaker situation with Minnesota. But you have a club that I think surprised all of us. I'm curious if the club that you ended up with here, how much different than it was than the club that you thought you were getting. By that I mean when you took the job, there had to be some thinking that this was a bit of a build or rebuild, and now it seems like it's more of an amplify or add to situation.
I always kind of try to avoid those words, rebuild. I think it's building and progressing as we speak all the time, whether we're on the top of the standings or the bottom of the standings. You're always looking for ways to improve and get better. I think that in team sports there are so many variables, so many different things that can make you good or bad or go through the hot streaks. I think it was incredible, the streak that we had, how well we started playing together and the confidence that was growing. I think it's going to be real hard to repeat. But the season is 82 games rather than the 48 this year, so we have to even it out on the course of the season so that we play a complete, consistent season that's good enough to make the playoffs. As exciting as it was last year, we didn't make the playoffs, so we have to get better to make it. And a lot of teams are going to take us a lot more seriously next year. That's expected, and we have to be that much better. I don't think anybody's going to take us lightly anymore, and there's new opponents now next year going into the East and new rivalries and new divisions. So it's going to be hard to get points, just as hard as it has been in the past, if not harder, and we have to be prepared.
You know, I'm curious about, I've heard you mention chemistry. a few different times during the offseason so far, and I'm wondering how big of a maybe not concern or a worry, but how big a factor is in the equation when you go out there and try to get another star goal scorer and trying to fit him in. As a GM, what is that like? Is that part of the equation, not only finding talent but finding fit?
Absolutely. We want to find good players, but also good teammates, good people. I think the chemistry is a lot easier when you're winning, when you're going through a streak like we did at the end. The chemistry is sort of easy. Gets tested when you go through the hard times, and that's when you need the character players, the core players that believe in the system, that believe in the culture that we have around our team, the values that are strong enough that no matter what happens, if we're winning or losing, they stay strong, and our team stays the course and believes in the system and the values that we have. So. And hard work is certainly in the middle of those values, and that's something that we have to be prepared to do every day. Work as hard as we can and bring the intensity to the practice and games and be hard to play against and all those things. So chemistry is important. Chemistry builds through success and gets tested through the adversity. So we want to find players that have character and have the heart to go through both.
Would you agree with this, that the draft appears to be deep, but the free agent pool seems a little weaker than most years? And I'm wondering if you see things changing with like the compliance buyouts, and does that change the way you have to view free agency?
Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens exactly in the compliance buyouts to see the free agent field completely. And once we know that, then we can make our lists accordingly, and we're prepared to make our picks if we're going to keep all our picks at the draft. We are going to explore all our options to see if we can trade one of those picks to a player or for a player that's going to help us immediately and into the future. So we're going to look at all the options. There's going to be a lot of conversations this week, I'm sure, and we're going to do our homework and do the best we can for the franchise moving forward.
Talking to Jarmo Kekalainen, Blue Jackets general manager. Jarmo, you guys have currency in that you have those three number ones. The issue, of course, I think to the casual hockey fan, you say McKinnon, Drouin, Jones, it's as good as it gets at the top of the draft. Well, can't we just package those picks together and move up and get one of them? But that just doesn't seem in play at all. How difficult do you think it will be to try and move up, and is that something that you guys will explore?
Well, we've had talks about moving up and talks about moving back and all kinds of different talks, but it is hard to move up, and I can only talk from past experience. And I remember having 3 picks in the first round, 2007. I think the highest one was 9, might have been 16 and 24 or something like that. And we tried to package them together to get into the top 5 and into the top pick by offering all those picks, and it didn't work. So. It's not easy when players or the teams know that there's going to be great players in the top of the draft. They want to pick them, and it's going to be hard to move. And we have to determine if what the price is that we're prepared to offer to get one of those picks, and we can't go crazy about it. We have to be smart.
Jarmo, how key is it that you get Bobrovsky signed? How much of a concern going forward is that with this club right now?
Like I said, we're optimistic about it. We want to get him signed. He's a great goaltender. He's a good guy, good teammate, all those qualities that I mentioned earlier. So we want to get him signed, and we're working hard to get it done.
You have one AHL goalie, right, on the roster, McElhinney, and I'm wondering, obviously everybody wants Bob back, but what about the backup? If Bob gets signed, who backs him up? Where do you go right now? Does McElhinney
McElhinney played an excellent season in Springfield. He was
Correct.
One of the top goalies in the American League, and that's why we gave him a one-way contract. Mm-hmm. And we're expecting him to be a backup for Bob next year. And I think he's earned that right. He's played in the NHL before. He's shown that he can play in this league, and with a very consistent season in Springfield behind him, we feel that he can be a good backup.
Mm-hmm. Jarmo Kekalainen, Blue Jackets general manager, thanks so much for your time. Good luck in the Big Apple. Or are you guys in North Jersey, I suppose?
We're going to be staying in New York City, and
smart move.
Draft will be in New Jersey, obviously.
Smart move. I'd stay in New York, too. Thanks, Jarmo. Appreciate your time.